Everyone, welcome to the show. So we have yet another confirmation that the wealthy and the well-connected don't have to pay for their crimes. That's the summation of the United States. That is the overwhelming fact in our country now. This whole, no one is above the law line. Yeah, that's a bunch of bullshit. So as I'm sure you've all heard, Three-Shirt Steve Bannon, or Sloppy Steve, as Trump called him, he took a plea deal for the border wall fraud case that he had been indicted on in federal court and in state court. So Bannon, if you don't know, he was accused of defrauding Trump supporters. This is one of Donald Trump's biggest minions. I mean, this is a guy who was in his first administration and actively worked to help overthrow the government, try to overturn the 2020 election. And he's out defrauding Trump supporters. So he accepted donations, he and others, for this We Build the Wall scam. That was what they called it. We Build the Wall. This was supposed to be him and his co-conspirators, building a wall on the southern border. They were raising money from average Americans, and they said, we will not use a penny of your money for administrative costs or anything else. Every single penny we receive will go towards building a wall at the southern border. Now, that is also a bunch of BS because, as we all know, as private citizens, you can't just go erect a wall on the southern border of the country. And part of it is you have to sometimes take possession of people's homes, raise their homes, and level them to build this wall. So yeah, it was never even feasible or plausible, but they convinced Trump supporters this was legit. So they raised a total of $25 million. And then over the years, it came out that, what do you know, they actually used hundreds of thousands of that money for trips, for cars. I think one of them even got cosmetic surgery, if I remember correctly. They bought all kinds of luxury items with this money. So Bannon had been previously pardoned by Trump in the federal case. Before Trump left office, he pardoned Bannon. Which, just cracks me up when the MAGA right is like crying and their crocodile tears over Joe Biden pardoning his family members, but yet they get ripped off by this guy and Donald Trump pardons him and not a word from any of them. None of them are upset about it. There is no clear example of thank you, sir, may I have another. I mean, they just love being spanked by Trump and his allies, I guess. So anyway, there was a state case, as I mentioned in the beginning. Bannon was hit with state charges. After the federal charges went away, New York filed state charges. So that trial was supposed to start next month. Trump obviously couldn't do anything to stop it because it's a state case. But as the Washington Post pointed out, he could try to derail the case. And here's what they wrote and why they say this, could be very legitimate. They wrote, quote, to build the state case, the district attorney's office would likely have needed to depend on those federal prosecutors, the documents they had gathered, and the evidence they had presented to a federal grand jury in Manhattan. But those officials now answer to an Attorney General, Pam Bondi, who has pledged to scrutinize the Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, who won a felony conviction of Mr. Trump last year. So yeah, they were probably not going to get any help from the feds. And so Bannon took a plea deal. He pleaded guilty to one count of fraud, admitted to defrauding Trump supporters. He faced up to 15 years in prison, but he got no prison time. No time or in jail, because this was a state case. No time in jail. And keep in mind, his co-conspirators did not get a pardon from Donald Trump, And they were all sentenced to lengthy prison terms in their federal case. That included an Air Force veteran named Brian Kolfage, who's an amputee. So the guy lost both of his legs and part of one arm in war. I believe it was in Iraq. And, but not a good guy. I feel bad for him. I appreciate his service to the country, but obviously had no qualms about ripping off people who align with him politically. So Kolfage pleaded guilty to wire fraud, and he received 4 years and 3 months in prison. His other co-conspirator, Andrew Bottolato, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. He pleaded guilty to the same crime as Kolfage. And then there was a fourth co-defendant named Timothy Shea. He refused a plea deal. He opted for a jury trial. He was convicted in that jury trial of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, conspiracy to commit money laundering, and obstruction of justice. Why, I don't know, but he was sentenced after refusing a plea deal to only 3 years of probation. They did, however, order him to pay 1.8 or a little over 1.8 million in restitution. So there's no justice in this country for the wealthy and the well-connected. Trump's MAGA allies are the biggest bunch of whiny-ass crybabies I have ever seen. They're always up in arms claiming, oh, the left, they're weaponizing the justice system. Everyone on the right has gotten a pass. Everyone, with very rare exception. January 6 convicts, all the January 6 defendants pardoned. All of Trump's cases have been dropped. The DOJ, under Biden, went after people who committed crimes. Compare that to Trump's DOJ that is planning and is going after people who prosecuted those accused criminals. So, not within a million miles of each other, just not even on the same planet. Democrats had better wake up. This is not a level playing field. You cannot bring a spork to an AR-15 fight, and that's what Democrats keep trying to do. It's freaking pathetic. So, anyway, guys, no justice. All right, I will let you know if I hear any more. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.